Welcome to episode 200 of Timm Talk, the podcast about the DC animated universe, co-created by Bruce Timm. I'm Chris Lord.
And I'm Cameron Dexter. Is there no bit?
I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done with the bits. I slowly weaned us off the bits. And now I'm like, I was like, what do I do for a bit here? Like, make some joke about how Batman's my father?
It's a good bit.
It's not a good bit.
It's a good bit.
I'll get into why that's not a good bit later.
Hey, you're not a clone.
I'm not a clone. I'm a son.
He's not your papa. No, what's Gantu? Not Gantu. Jesus.
Oh my God, you're off to a great,
Oh my God.
great start here. He may have been he may have been your father, but he wasn't your daddy.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said papa when I was writing it down, because I wrote that joke down while watching the episode.
Well, great work.
Hey, happy 200.
Happy 200. This is actually kind of crazy.
It's very weird.
It's weird on two fronts. One, 200 episodes, but also the number of times we keep referencing, like, oh, we'll get that when we get to Epilogue. We'll get that when we get to Epilogue. We're actually now at Epilogue. I'm like, wow, it actually happened.
Yeah.
We actually made it all the way here.
Waiting for this episode for so long.
Yeah. And look, it was great to go back to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. I mean, well, okay, I have lots of thoughts on this episode.
I liked 4 minutes of it.
There's a lot about this I liked. There's one big thing I really don't like. But yes, it is our 200th episode.
When he breaks the china.
It just broke my heart.
Yeah.
Poor Amanda Waller wanting to keep her tea set together.
We see that Terry's just the worst listener.
He's awful.
He's horrible in this episode. We'll get to it.
We'll get to it. But yes, it is our 200th episode. Cameron and I, we had a debate as to whether we would like make this a big deal or not. But ultimately we decided, since we're going to be done with the show in about 8 episodes, it made sense to hold off any sort of like pomp and circumstance until the finale. It's
mildly more exciting than our normal episode. We're doing small things.
That's true. We're going to do a little bit of different things this episode. You know, we try and shake it up a little bit sometimes on our anniversary episodes, our milestone episodes. But yeah, we'll have like a proper send off when we actually get to the finale here in just a few months. But for now, it's just, hey, look at us, we did it 200 episodes.
Hey, yeah, it's an achievement.
And honestly, it honestly is actually. It is pretty cool that we got here. But I don't know what else to say in terms of preamble, so should we just get into
it? How are you doing? How's life?
I'm tired, man.
Yeah.
I'm always tired. You can probably hear it in my voice.
It's all right. I got energy to spare today.
I had one drink last night. And I went to bed close to midnight, and I woke up this morning being like, oh, man, this sucks. I don't feel great.
I went out on Thursday. First time going out to like a bar since quarantine.
Right, yeah.
To see Rocky Horror, drag stage production. It was wonderful. But I was so excited just to be at a bar again. I'm like, oh, I'll just like drink cocktails for the night.
Yeah.
I was there for maybe 2.5 hours, and I think I had 4 drinks. And I'm like, oh, right, these are expensive.
They're expensive. They're not very good.
One of them was good.
One of them was good?
Yeah,
okay.
It's called Period Sex.
Okay, then. I have very little to contribute to that.
Those the Tramp. I mean, it's a drag bar.
It's Tramp Stamp Grannies. Yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, just like it's not even. We haven't even done like proper Halloween yet, and I'm already just like tired and done with it.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, just turn on some Halloween Town. Get that energy back. Twitches is also acceptable. Twitches 2. Fan of the Megaplex.
I did look through the Disney Plus Halloween offerings, and I was like, most of this is garbage.
I'm confused about what and how they promote certain things, because they'll have like 2 what I would consider classic shows, our generation shows, which I'm excited for, but it's never like, it's not the Boy Meets World episodes, it's not the like That's a Raven episodes or the Even Steve, like the ones that people remember.
Yeah.
It's like the Hannah Montana episode. I'm like, I forgot they did a Halloween episode. It wasn't very good.
I don't know. I guess because it's Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. None of it's for me. So don't worry about it.
I'm still very frustrated how every streaming service does Halloween, because I don't think anyone does it right.
No, I know. Well, none of the streaming services do anything right.
Correct.
We've talked about this at length.
Yes. But I want to talk about it more.
No. That has not changed in our 200th episode, Cameron. I'm not going to let you go on insane tangents about streaming services again.
I will find a way.
I will just have to cut them out in the edit, which makes more work for me down the line.
That is fair.
But all right.
And we've done 3 full episodes that just haven't aired.
Pretty much. Yeah, I've cut out a lot of shit over the time. But all right, shall we go ahead and get into some epilogue here?
Let's talk epilogue.
All right, so obviously this is a little epilogue to Justice League Unlimited Season 2, and was originally designed to be an epilogue to the entire series, the entire universe, in fact. But it only...
I'm glad it wasn't.
Yeah, again, I have thoughts.
Okay.
I have thoughts. But this one is set 65 years into the future when I think we can call him fully grown adult Terry McGinnis discovers that, oh my God, the big spoiler, Bruce Wayne is his biological father. So he seeks out answers from Amanda Waller, who explains to Terry why the world needs Batman. So, where to begin with this?
65 years from now.
Yeah, okay. I could try and figure out how...
Or we can probably say like 40 years from now.
It does literally say 65 years from now.
Well, no, because when Amanda Waller makes that great joke, and she's like, Batman left his DNA all over the town. But not in that way.
Not in that way, yeah.
Because I even paused it before she said that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, Batman. Oh, Bruce.
Not remotely what I meant.
Yeah.
But also true on both fronts.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like, so... Okay, I guess let's talk about the episode itself, and let's talk about what works, what doesn't, and whether this should have been the actual ending of the whole universe or not, shall we?
Okay.
All right, so, yeah, basically, it starts out with Terry not in his Batman uniform as an adult with a terrible haircut.
Oh, he's horrible right now.
Can we start off? First thing I want to point out, why does everyone have a terrible haircut in this future? Like, Terry's hair is bad. It's got, like, it's almost a mullet, with real long, like, 1970s style sideburns. Mm-hmm. It's bad.
Yes.
Dana's is worse.
Yes. So what I think it is like when you deal with future stuff, especially in film and in television and animation, you're so used to the idea of like things will be recycled at some point,
right?
Through fashion and look, where you kind of just guess about like maybe that'll come back. I mean, we had a mullet come back for like a year.
I ignored it entirely.
Yeah, I mean the middle part is still back from the 90s. I feel like all 90s trends are having a huge resurgence right now.
I think things come back around in like roughly 30 year cycles.
Yeah. And so we're going through the bad hair of the late 80s, early 90s in this moment.
Oh, I'm
in the show, not in real life, but also kind of in real life.
No, in real life we absolutely are. Yeah. The mid part's back, hair drapes are back. Mm-hmm. I discovered recently because my hair is the longest it's ever been, and I of course go for a side part, but like if I like stand up quickly or whatever, like it just falls to either side to get on full hair drapes. And I looked at myself in the mirror recently and I looked just like the Nicolas Cage "my hair is a bird" meme.
Good. That's good.
It was pretty fantastic.
I mean, you could pull off an Eric from Boy Meets World for Halloween.
I could. I mean, I have the hair for it at this point now, but I have better plans for my Halloween hair.
Yes, you do.
So... And then we'll decide if I want to keep dealing with this. It's a lot of work. Mm-hmm. It's very high maintenance.
Yeah, everyone in this episode looks bad.
Well, I mean, okay.
And I can forgive Bruce because he's 172.
Yeah, and Amanda as well.
Yeah.
And Waller as well. They're both old, so that's kind of forgivable. But yeah, like something about Terry looks weird when he's now this age. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because they try to like... Is it that his face is too small for his head?
That's a good idea. I mean, if he is supposed to be Bruce's clone/son,
yeah,
I feel like he should look more like Bruce.
I think that's it. I feel like they tried to kind of make him look more like Bruce from his original design, but he doesn't look like Terry when he was in the series. Mm-hmm. I mean, I get that he would get kind of beefier, and now he's got more of like classic Batman builds. He's like a lean 16, 17, 18-year-old, whatever he was last time we saw him, but I do also just kind of feel like he looks weird.
Okay, so when was the last time we saw Bruce, not Batman?
I mean,
was it in?
Yeah, it would have been
Star-Crossed.
No, it would have been. Oh, like Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
Well, no, we did see him without his cowl on when he's recovering in the hospital from
Shazam. Sorry, Captain Marvel. Whatever.
Was that episode?
Yes.
Sure.
No?
I don't remember.
Around then.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, so a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So relatively recently we saw. I mean, he had like a head bandage on and stuff. But...
So because I'm trying to think of like if they wanted to do some kind of dramatic reveal. I don't think Batman's feature or Bruce's features are impactful enough, or like if they kept Terry in shadow the whole time, and then when he finally like is talking to Waller and he walks out of shadow and it's just Bruce's face, I don't think I would have recognized it.
No, yeah, I think they were trying to go for somewhere kind of in the middle, and to me it just doesn't quite work. He just looks off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't quite work. But and like Dana basically looks the same.
He's still trying to find himself.
He's just discovering who he is. Well, literally, he is discovering who he is. And Dana looks basically the same, but she has this horrible haircut. I'm trying to think of even a comparison point for it.
It's the worst Zooey Deschanel.
From when did you have that haircut?
Just in general, because it's front bangs, deep front bangs,
yeah,
and then like a bad pixie.
Yeah, it's like
it's the worst version of Zooey Deschanel.
It's like a pixie cut above the ear.
Yeah.
Yeah, she looks like a mushroom.
Mm-hmm.
It looks terrible.
Yeah, it's the future.
I mean, look, the future does keep getting worse, so I can't really judge too much on this. But yeah, so Terry's look doesn't just quite work there, which is interesting because like no one else. Well, I guess no, they did age up Green Lantern a little bit. He's not of a kid; he's more now like late teens, I would say. But like Aquagirl looks the same. So I don't know. Some of the looks didn't quite really work for me. But he's there. He's talking to Waller because, as he points out, like. He recently, we ultimately, the pieces we get in all of this is that Bruce needed like a kidney transplant. So they did a test on him. They discovered it was like an exact match. So he did a DNA test and discovered that he's Bruce's like actual biological son.
So, yeah, but Bruce also said it's 101 to 1 odds.
111?
Yes, 111 to 1 odds, which isn't absurd odds.
Isn't that crazy?
That's you and one other person in a room typically. That's
Maybe.
not crazy odds.
Yeah, so that didn't quite work. Now, the episode has kind of interesting structure to it because there's the main storyline is playing out like in real time in full color animation, and then we have these black and white segments, which up until today I thought were flashbacks, and only today did I realize they're fantasy sequences.
Oh, are they?
Yes. So that is Terry thinking through what he would want to say to Bruce, how he would want to confront Bruce about being his kid, how he would want to quit the league, how he would feel compelled to break up with Dana because it's too dangerous to be around him because he's decided like he doesn't want to be Batman anymore because he feels now like he was fated to do this and he's trapped in this. And today was the first time I realized that those aren't flashbacks.
Got it.
It makes a lot more sense.
It does make more sense that way.
I actually, when I realized that, it was at the very end, I ended up rewatching the episode with that in mind. Like, oh, this does actually make a lot more sense then. Because there's little visual cues to indicate that's the way it goes. Like, so for example, when there's the fantasy sequence where Terry goes to confront Bruce and he literally smashes through the grandfather clock. At the very end, when it's back in color, the grandfather clock is fixed.
Yes.
Or he breaks up with Dana, but when he calls her, it's just like, she's not like, why are you calling me? We just broke up.
Yeah, he's still on for this Friday.
Yeah, it's like a normal kind of like casual conversation. Those are like little clues to indicate that that's him thinking about what he would want to do.
Okay. I do like that better.
Yeah, which makes more sense because there is an actual flashback in this too when Waller tells her story that's also in color. So that's how they did that visual cue to kind of indicate the difference. Which also makes more sense because even how Bruce is old Bruce, like old man Bruce, not Batman Beyond old man Bruce, but like probably like months away from his deathbed old Bruce.
Yeah.
The way he's characterized in that black and white fantasy sequence is that he is like cold, really cold,
emotionless
and heartless and emotionless. And he's like, it was the mission.
The world always needs a Batman.
Yeah, it's always been the mission, right? And then when we actually see him at the very end, like he's just a grumpy dad. He's just grumpy, but he's not being
soup.
Yeah, he's not being dick. Like he's like, you're in my chair, and he gets up, and it's like, I wish it called I made you soup. Like he went out of his way to do something nice for Terry. He's portrayed much softer there, and that actually makes a lot more sense. And you realize that the black and white sequence is how Terry sees Bruce when he's thinking of him at his worst.
Okay, I will forgive the episode more for that.
It makes a little bit more sense in that structure.
Yes.
But when Terry goes to confront Waller, he's like, clearly the technology that was used to like rewrite my dad's DNA was from Cadmus, so you must know about it. It's like, did you give it to Bruce? She's like, no, I did it. Bum, bum, bum.
Waller I mean, of course she did it.
Of course she did it. Yeah. And,
she's always been Team Clone.
right. And so her whole thing was that obviously they started out as enemies, her and Batman, but over time she came to like appreciate and even respect him and realize that there was no one like him, as she puts it. Like, she met a lot of incredible people while she was the government liaison with the League.
Yeah,
so
which I thought was that's a line I didn't remember.
Yeah.
Like, that's huge to have like that turnaround.
It is, and it's a nice little nod there to show like how that interaction progresses. Like that she does warm up to them and start to appreciate them for what they are. And Batman in particular, because, you know, as she puts it, like, she's seen all these crazy things, but no one was able to do what anyone else did with just like their wit and their body, the way that
And Wallet.
yeah, the way that
she
Batman
didn't
does.
bring up Wallet.
He didn't say it, but
she should, as much as she should have.
heavily implied.
Yeah.
So she's like, the world does need a Batman. So then she decided to start, and this is where it starts to lose it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Project Batman Beyond.
Yep, I hated that. Hated that.
Hated it. So the whole idea.
What would you name it? We'll go to that. Because I don't know if there's a better name.
The thing is, there's not a better name.
But it's such a bad name.
It's still dumb.
You can't do Batman Inc.
Right.
Because it hasn't existed yet.
It hasn't existed yet. Yeah. So I get why they chose that, but I'm just like, this is stupid. But
Project Man-Bat?
oh my God. But so the whole idea was basically like, they needed new Batmans. They did a psych profile on a bunch of like couples in Gotham. They found like Warren and Mary McGinnis, who like their psych profile very closely matched Thomas and Martha Wayne. So Warren went in for what he thought was a flu shot, but it was actually like a Cadmus Cadmus nanotech that rewrote his reproductive DNA to be Bruce's.
Yeah. Wow. Isn't that topical right now?
Oh my God.
That's what everyone thinks is happening.
Yeah. So then a year later, like, Terry's born, and it's obviously like the son of Bruce Wayne and Mary McGinnis, to no one's knowledge. And then the further plan was like, you know, it's not just genes alone, tragedy also involved. So then Waller hires, and this part I did like, Phantasm to come and kill the parents, and she's like, I can't do that. Bruce would never resort to murder. All the things he's done, you wouldn't do that. And so then it just, by fate alone, Warren ends up dying anyways, and he becomes Batman. So, what? Okay, let's talk about the things that do work in this.
Okay.
I think the main thing being the story Waller tells Terry to get a slightly different perspective on Batman, because he says he'll go, once he's set on a mission, he will do whatever it takes to get it accomplished. There's no stopping him. She's like, well, you don't really know him then. So she tells this story, and I know this is very important to you, Cameron. So I'm gonna let you retell the story of Ace.
Oh man, it hurts. It always hurts to watch.
Yeah,
but it's so good.
It is really good.
We flash back to our present day Justice League, 2005 Justice League ish. Yeah, and they're being tormented by this now super group of Royal Flush Gang. They are all bizarre creatures.
So on that real quick, they are all actually modeled off of other things. Do you want to know what they're all modeled off of? Can you guess?
Is MODOK?
Yes, named after Jack the King Kirby.
Oh,
so
that's
they're all play on. They're all play on the
dang.
character, like the Royal Flush names. They're all play on. So he's Jack the King Kirby. Can you guess the other ones based on what we see?
Queen looked like Big Barda, but I couldn't get further than that.
So Ace has now his ability to warp reality. So
Yes.
so we eventually come to realize that the Royal Flush Gang are just normal people, and their Royal Flush personas disappear. Did you catch what happens to Queen when the persona disappears?
It's a guy.
Right.
So it's a drag queen.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. Got it.
Easy. All right.
All right.
Jack was not Silver Samurai.
You're close though. Think about it. Think about another cartoon character voiced by Phil Lamar.
Samurai Jack.
He's Samurai Jack.
I love that.
And when the illusion goes away, that character is drawn to look like Phil Lamar.
Oh, that's so good.
And then this one is a little bit before our time, but 10.
10. I'm trying to remember what 10 looked like. 10.
So you're not going to get it because I didn't get it until I looked it up.
Just remember what she looked like.
10's in a white swimsuit and like blonde cornrows, and she's modeled after Bo Derek in the movie 10.
Oh, that's good.
So this is all pretty. Those are clever little things they threw in there.
I like that.
Which was
like,
kind of fun.
That's a fun writer's room day.
It is. That must have been a lot of fun for them to figure out. So, but yeah, that's my quick little interlude there on this version of the Royal Flush Gang, which it's funny because Waller makes some comment. She's like, oh, I don't know. It's like the second or third iteration. Who can count?
Yeah.
And like chronologically, it's the second iteration, but it's a third because we met the
the
quote
future
unquote, original
future
ones,
gang,
in Batman Beyond. So,
and so Waller gives Batman this device that will do something to Ace that will end up killing her.
So what's happened is her power. So all this is playing out inside this like very kind of Alice in Wonderland, Sleeping Beauty kind of fantasy imagery inside of a normal city.
Yeah.
So Batman still thinks that Ace's powers are to cause hallucinations, and Waller says no. Her powers has evolved. She now has the ability to warp reality, and she is days or possibly hours away from a massive brain aneurysm that will kill her, but also the psychic backlash from that will be so substantial as to kill anyone within her like mental radius, which is miles, and presumably also leave the distortions to reality intact.
Yeah.
And she says the only way to stop her is to kill her.
Yes, and he has some device. Thank you. I'm glad that I get to tell this story.
Yeah. You're doing a great job, honey. You're doing great.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And so Batman takes the responsibility on himself. Like, if anyone's going to do this, I have the most history with Ace. I have to be the one that pulls the trigger.
Yeah.
So he gets through the Court of Thorns, makes it through the castle. Sleeping Beauty, very, very Maleficent style castle. Sees Ace on a swing set, and she knows immediately, like, you're not here to kill me. You wouldn't do that. I know. I can read your mind that you're not going to use her device, and then I'm going to die very soon. Aww. Will you stay with me?
It's really touching because she tells the story about how when she was a kid, like, there was all these tests, like, can you move your mind, Ace? Can you do this, Ace? And, you know, she puts it like she lost her childhood, and Batman says, I know what that's like. And so she just asks, will you like just sit with me until it's done? He sits in the swing and holds her hand.
Yeah. It's the Batman we always want, but we're never going to see in theaters.
No, and it's absolutely true. And to be fair, like, that moment fits into this universe still, but even feels special amongst this universe, even given how much time we spent with Batman. Like, this is a particularly heartfelt, touching moment he has.
Yeah.
And one can make the argument maybe the only reason he does it is because he knows the kid's going to die, so he just can't tell anyone how nice he was.
That's what I was thinking, because my immediate thought was like, oh yeah, this is the Batman that sang to save Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Because no one else was there.
No one would know.
It.
Yeah, he knows he's never this way to any of his kids, adopted or otherwise. But I mean, like, look, it is one of the most heartfelt, emotionally impactful moments in all of the DCAU.
Yeah, and then him walking out holding her La Pieta style.
Yeah,
you know, everyone needs a good La Pieta reference.
You always need it in there somewhere. But look, I mean, like, this always gets to me. It got to me. Like, I would like full on teared up, not just like one single like lone bro tear off the side, like both eyes, good stream coming down both sides. I mean, it is a really just sweet emotional moment.
Yeah, it is. You know, Waller makes the point of like no one cares about people as much as Batman.
Yeah.
And we've seen the ups and downs of that over the past 5 years.
Right.
Of Bruce brutally beating just kind of henchmen that maybe don't deserve it.
Yeah.
But then also doing everything he can to help these people who've had tragedy strike them.
Yeah.
Live as normal life as they can.
Right. And I think this might be the only real mainstream version of Batman outside of maybe the Adam West version. I think you maybe can give him credit for this as well, where you can actually see evidence of him really caring about mankind. You know, it's like I'm pretty sure we can say that is not true of Ben Affleck's Batman.
Nope. Hey, he saved that little girl kind of when they were running away from the building.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I guess you did. Yeah, I guess you did. But like, to your point,
but she was running away, and he stopped her from running away.
That's true.
So, if anything, he kept her in the danger zone.
Skeptical. Very skeptical. But like, to your point, we have seen this version of Batman, this version of Bruce go out of his way. This is the version of Bruce that also like does so much charity work. This is the version of Bruce that has given jobs to former criminals, to former henchmen, to try and help rehabilitate them. This is the one who like really tries to save Harvey and bring him back, who's trying to like bring Catwoman away from the darker side towards the light. Same with Talia. Like this Batman actually does really care about, you know, as Waller puts it, like his fellow man more than anyone else. But his methods don't necessarily show that all the time. A lot of that real heartfelt work is done in very subtle ways that a lot of people, not even those closest to him, would really see.
Yeah, or off screen.
Yeah, exactly. So you can understand where like there's probably only maybe realistically 2 people that ever really saw that, and it was Waller and Alfred.
I would say who's the doctor that he
Oh,
spends
it's Leslie
with?
Tompkins.
Yeah,
Okay.
Leslie would know.
I think Leslie can throw in there, and I think he and Clark have a long enough relationship together, and I think Clark sees through that enough to maybe see this. Maybe Clark, maybe like okay, maybe a handful, maybe Wonder Woman too.
Mm-hmm.
I think his
Wonder Woman for sure.
Yeah, I think his relationships with his Bat kids are all too fucked up for them to really see that.
Yeah, and yeah, because now that that's a fantasy sequence, when Batman says the line of like they were never strong enough to stick with the mission.
Yeah, that is Terry projecting his own insecurities into the scene.
Yeah,
so it does make a lot more sense from that perspective. So like, I mean, I think obviously that piece is one of the best scenes in all of the DCU. I think that works really well. I think the very final sequence of this of Terry in like the actual real scene of Terry talking with Bruce, I think it actually works pretty well there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, we mentioned that Bruce has made soup for him, and Terry's like, you know, and Terry's like, oh, you're worried about me? He's like, no, I was worried about Gotham. He's like, don't worry, I've got this. You know, I've always got this.
Dad.
Yeah.
I hated that end button.
It's like, yeah, it's like, you know, just like my old man. It's a little...
that was too far.
It's a little on the nose, but I think it redeems itself by then doing a Batman Beyondified version of the original BTOS theme, playing over like a shadow of him flying through the sky as an homage at the very beginning of On Leather Wings.
I rewatched the scene just to make sure it was one for one. Yeah,
and if I recall, I think even in that episode too, it's Kevin Conroy voicing the cop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like that. I mean, so that's the thing is, in a lot of ways, this is kind of the perfect bookend to BTOS. Like, there's so many things this episode does well. It does bring back Andrea. I mean, it's a real bummer to see that she never stayed off her path of vengeance and she just became a hired killer.
Mm-hmm.
And she continued to be a hired killer for like 50 years. Like, that's really sad, but it kind of fits that character in a lot of ways. So we get a little bit moment there. You know, again, like the little visual nod to the On Leather Wings at the very end. We get a wrap up to kind of the friction between Waller and Bruce. You know, we get, even if it's in a fantasy sequence, we get, you know, brief little moment with the Beyond version of the Justice League there.
Which does show that in the end, Green Lantern and Hawk Girl do end up together.
Yep, they do have a kid. So, you know, and it does also actually kind of give proper closure to Batman Beyond, which we've talked about, never really got that. I mean, the best thing that came out of Batman Beyond was hands down Return of the Joker, but that's not really a finale to that show. And even the series finale that we got kind of works, that idea of like him deciding he can never tell Dana who he is because of the kid being put in danger by knowing his face. But, you know, obviously that ultimately he wavers from that, because I think even if that's a fantasy sequence where he's talking with Dana and she acknowledges that he knows that he's Batman, I think we can assume that she actually does know in real life now at this point.
Yeah, you'd have to.
I think
They've been dating
so.
for 15 years.
Yeah, so I think that part's there. So it does work.
Oh, so we know that. So they started dating when he was a sophomore.
Yeah, I think he's like 31. I think he's like 31 in this.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that'd be about 50
that chronology
years.
makes sense. I think Beyond was supposed to be approximately 50 years in the future, and this is about 15 years beyond that. So it mostly works.
Okay, because I was trying to think if we didn't need the Batman Beyond tie-in wrap-up aspect, the way I love I love it centering around Waller.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very important. I think I would have rather had this bit be about her applying for the job as the liaison.
I mean, to be honest, that sounds so boring.
But no, you still get her perspective on the stories, though. So I think you give her 2 stories to tell about, like, why, you know, like, because of your past, why would you ever want to work with the Justice League?
Yeah.
It's like, well, here's a part where, like, we worked together and did something, and here's a part where, like, they proved that they're here for the everyday person. And then you give the ace story.
Yeah, I get where you're going with that.
Then it flips and you realize the person she's talking to is Terry's dad.
Yeah, I think that would have just been a little bit boring, to be honest. Like, okay, so my biggest issue in all this is actually just the fact that Bruce is revealed to be Terry's dad.
Right.
And I know that was an idea that was pulled from an unproduced Batman Beyond movie. So this was an idea that existed long back. I mean, given the fact that Terry looks nothing like either of his parents, we could assume that maybe this was always an idea from the very beginning. I don't know. I just think it's really fucking stupid.
He also doesn't look like Bruce.
Well, that's the thing. He doesn't look like Bruce, but I think this idea is really fucking stupid. Like, I know I've used this phrase before, but we can believe the impossible but not the improbable. So the classic example I always use is in Spider-Man 3. Like, we can totally believe that, like, an alien symbiote would crash to Earth, but the fact that it lands next to the one person in this entire universe that has superpowers is kind of ridiculous. Or the fact that the guy who may have killed Uncle Ben happens to fall into, like, an accelerator and become Sandman. Like, you can like, again, you can believe, like, Superman can fly, but you have to feel like the rest of the world holds a little bit of credulity. And this is where it falls apart for me, because if Terry becomes Batman on accident, which is how it plays out, then that makes sense. But it's very weird that he was designed to be Batman and then became Batman by accident. And they kind of try and write it off, being like, oh, Waller says the thing about, like, the Lord works in mysterious ways. Like, and it's sort of this idea of, like, oh, maybe you were fated to be Batman, but also you get to choose your own fate. And there's a great thematic idea there. And I get that by doing this reveal about Terry being Bruce's son, it adds a little bit more emotional heft to the whole thing. It becomes a much more substantial and emotionally focused catalyst for him to want to make these decisions, to break up with Dana and to quit being Batman and quit the League and break it off with Bruce. I think you could still do a version of this that doesn't have that reveal. The question then becomes, why would you have Waller there in the first place? Because it's her technology and all this other stuff. But it's just like that. I've always hated that idea.
Okay, so what if... I mean, I think the episode would still work if you take out the parental aspect of it.
Yeah.
Where it's Terry at his breaking point.
Yeah.
Like, he isn't the Batman that Bruce wants him to be. And that's kind of a theme we saw all through Batman Beyond. It was like, he was never... Like, he was always almost there. And, you know, he can't talk to Clark about it. He can't talk to anyone in the League about it. He's like, who's the only other person that knows Bruce the way that I know Bruce? Amanda Waller.
Oh, okay.
He goes to her, and you can even give the same sequence of, like, you know, we did the test to see, like, who could be the next Batman.
Yeah.
And, like, we were going to kill your parents. No, like, don't add any aspect of, like...
I think that doesn't work either. I think as soon as you tee up the idea that Terry was supposed to be fated. Batman by any way other than accident, like, if there was any indication that Terry was supposed to be Batman before the events of Rebirth, the whole thing just collapses for me in terms of making story sense.
What if, this is a little darker at specifically Alleyway, what if they tried to do it with another kid and it didn't work? And so they're like, yeah, we wanted to make, like, the world always needs a Batman. And I was going to do it on my own. Like, if Bruce wasn't going to do it, I was going to do it.
Yeah.
And so I hired a killer to kill these parents in an alleyway, and we were going to foster this kid to be the next Batman. And it didn't work.
That I would actually be kind of intrigued by. Like, if we think, if Terry, like, if that happened, like,
because that's cold blood murder, then.
Right? Like, and if the same thing kind of plays out of, like, Terry sees this, like, genetic match, like, and he realizes, like, the only person who makes this happen is Waller. Like, did you do this? She's like, no. Like, look, I always said the world needed a Batman. We did set this in motion. Like, we did pick a family. We did pick a kid, and we were gonna kill this kid's family. And we realized, like, this is too far. And basically just imply, like, there's a kid out there somewhere. Like, Bruce has a kid out there somewhere, but, like, that kid is happy with his family and he's, like, lived a normal life. And she's like, but sometimes, you know, fate intervenes and it ended up being you. And, like, it was never meant to be you, but it ended up being you. And you get to decide whether you want to do it or not. I think that works.
I like that a lot better, because then you also get the parallel flip of, like, we finally get to see a storyline, and even, like, you can have Waller, like, watching the family.
Yeah,
like, we finally get to see what would happen if Batman was happy.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's true. It's like, we realize, like, as much as the world needs a Batman, it, like, that kid needed a happy life more than the world needed a Batman.
Yeah,
like, tragedy and circumstance gave us Batman, but we can't engineer that. We can't ruin someone's life to make it happen. And unfortunately, it being you, and the world's better off. But yeah, I think that works a lot better.
I like that a lot better, yeah.
I've always just found this idea so dumb that it just feels like a really, really ham-fisted retcon that I've like. There's so much with this episode I really, really like, And I actually do, again, we'll get to it, I guess, when we get to the actual proper finale of the whole series, but having just watched the end of the Cadmus arc in this episode, my gut tells me this is actually a really good stopping point. And not to say that I'm not glad we got one more season, because a lot of good stuff in it, but like this all caps off really well. And there's beautiful moments in this episode, but that idea is so fucking stupid. I've always hated it so much.
Yeah, and like in the first fantasy sequence, when Terry's kind of talking with Bruce about like all the stuff with my dad was not real.
Yeah.
Like as someone with a stepdad, like it's that's very kind of bad writing. Like I understand the mindset he's in, and he's in kind of this turmoil, but like that's never how the situation is. Like
I get like
he was still a father figure.
I mean, to be fair, I've never had a step parent, so I don't have that same perspective.
Look at me, I have a functioning
family. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my God. What the fuck is this? Where's all this shit coming from?
Yeah, you should feel guilty about your happiness.
I always do. But what I was getting to is, I guess, like, not having that perspective, to be fair, like, my defense of that is, again, it's in his head. Mm-hmm. So it's his most extreme reaction. And I can kind of understand, have that feeling of, like, he's discovered that his life was designed by someone else to put him where he is now. And that idea of being Batman like an honor or a curse is real. It was real in the series long before this idea ever started to manifest about him being Bruce's son. So I can understand of like him not necessarily being super thrilled with being up in this position, being very emotionally conflicted about being in this position of being Batman, and having probably a great appreciation for it, but also like a deep regret and pain about it. And to realize that someone else designed him to be in that situation, it would make it feel like everything about his life had been a lie. Mm-hmm. And especially for him, the fact that his dad's death was what drove him to do this in the first place, to make it feel like that was engineered to some degree would make it all feel really, really cheap. And I can understand, like, in his most emotionally heightened, the least rational, that's how he would maybe process it.
Okay. Yeah. I can see that perspective.
Yeah. I mean, but again, like, it is a little bit weird. Like, he kind of does this, like, really quick about face at the very end. It's like, now he's just like, I guess it's totally fine that Bruce Wayne's my dad.
Daddy. I hate it so much.
Yeah. It just, it's kind of a shame in some ways. Look, I still think this is an excellent episode.
You know what it should be?
What?
It should be Alfred's kid. They took the wrong DNA.
Wrong DNA. Whoops.
It's like, oh, no wonder you're so good at cleaning.
Yeah. Yeah, just, I don't know. I mean, okay. As we've talked through this, how's your feeling on the episode overall now that we've kind of talked through it a little bit more? Like,
better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still think it's not perfect. Mm-hmm. I still kind of feel like I'd be okay not watching this episode.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting.
Because shortlist.
Yeah. I gotta think about that a little bit. Yeah.
But like the Ace story, though, that's the problem.
See,
it's like the Ace brings it from, to me, like a 6.5 to a 9.
Let's just do this now before we get to our short list.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna keep it on my short list. I think I really, really hate the Bruce is my father plot point, but there's a lot of other things about this episode I really like. I like that it does actually close off an ending to things that were never closed off. I think Mask the Phantasm and just Batman Beyond being the two real big ones here. The Ace storyline is so impactful and so heartfelt. I keep it, even if I hate the whole plot that it's built around. There's enough here for me to want to keep it.
I will agree. I will get off my throne of passing judgment. I think if this were part of any other season or any other show, we would have kept it.
Yeah.
And I think because the Cadmus arc was so good and our bar is so high, I'm being too critical.
But I think your criticism is also fair, though. And also, like, I'm glad you say that, but at the end of the day, if I had to, I would have thrown down the canonically critical card. Because it is. Like, the thing is, it is inescapably canon, for better or worse.
Yes, but in this canon, what, from the rest of the show, what happens out of it?
I suppose nothing, but...
That's my thing.
Yeah,
I think you can cut... I don't think you can call it canon, but it's not necessary canon.
But I also feel like this episode is one of the most talked about episodes in the entire universe, partly because of, I guess we can call it like the controversy around.
Yeah, because it's so divisive.
Yeah, so I feel like you can't just throw it out. It's not forgettable is the problem, which a lot of the episodes we cut out is just like they're just forgettable. They're either bad episodes or they don't matter. Unfortunately, I'm not even saying unfortunately. Like, no matter what, for better or worse, this episode matters.
I mean, you've already won.
I know.
You don't need to sell it anymore. Like, at this point, I'm just finding more ammunition to fight against it.
Could just put every single nail in that coffin I possibly can. All right. I mean, yeah, I still really like this episode.
I think the other reason is, like, Terry is such a bad person in this episode. There's that moment that just, like, really irks me after he breaks the china, where it's him and Waller having two totally separate conversations. And Waller is just a woman who just, like, wants to talk to somebody.
No, I know.
And he's just, like, in his own fucking fantasy world.
I feel like most of that's kind of his worst moment. But a lot of his bad moments are in the fantasies where it's his own head, and we tend to have a pretty negative attitude towards ourselves and our own minds. Again, I'm going to give him a bit of a pass on that one. It's a dick move. I'm not denying that.
Yeah.
I'm going to give him a bit of a pass of just being like, when you are processing a really intense form of emotional trauma, you are not thinking about the people of the world around you very clearly. Like, I don't know, there wouldn't be much to pull him out of his own mental anguish to get him to realize what's happening in the real world. And I'll acknowledge the scene plays out in a kind of weird, like, stilted kind of way, but I'm going to give him a pass that he's just not in a good headspace right now. So, I suppose, if I must.
Yeah, I'm trying to find, for my silence for a moment, when Ted Lasso approaches, in season 1, when he discovers that what's her name has been setting him up to fail this whole time. Rebecca, thank you. I'm so sorry, Rebecca. Yeah. When he learns that, and he just kind of gives her a hug, and he's like, "Look, we are broken right now because of other people, and I can't judge you on your actions when you're not fully there." Yeah,
that's kind of what's happening in that scene. She does just want, you know, a handsome gentleman caller.
Yes,
don't we all?
Yeah.
But yeah. He's got some shit to process in that moment. I'll give him a bit of a pass.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Any other thoughts on this, or should we move on to, I guess, should we do our short list next?
I mean, I guess so.
Okay.
It's not really a short list.
No, it's not. All right. So let's get into our Justice League Unlimited Season 2 quote unquote short.
This feels like a waste of time, really.
Let's just double check here, because I suspect what's probably gonna happen is the same thing that happened last time.
So we're gonna have one question.
I think we just want to keep the whole thing.
We have one question.
Yeah,
he's good. He's a good character.
All right, so let's just run through them one by one and just double check. But I'm pretty sure we're just gonna end up keeping all of it. But let's start off from the top here. The Cat and the Canary.
Of course,
keep it.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
you're not as warm on it as I am.
I have issues.
Yep,
it stays.
It's great.
The Ties That Bind. So this is the Scott-free episode.
Oh, yeah. Need it.
Agreed?
Yeah, so good.
Yep. The Doomsday...
That sets up stuff for next season.
It does, in fact, yeah. Mm-hmm. The Doomsday Sanction, keeping it.
Oh, my God, yeah.
It's a part of the Cadmus arc, as is Task Force X.
The best episode.
Here we go. The Balance.
Is this Tala?
Yes.
I believe Tala comes back next season.
Does she? Okay. I mean, this would be the one that I kind of like. What was our one episode last?
Last one was Hawk and Dove.
This is one episode I'm like, it doesn't really matter in the long scheme of things. I mean, I suppose there's some pretty important plot points. We do learn, we may learn the true origin of Diana's parentage. She gets her golden her lasso can now make people tell the truth. We get some
more golden.
It gets more golden. We get some resolution to her and Shaira, their conflict. It's one that in other circumstances I would maybe say nix, but I'd say that if we get to the end and realize everything else is staying, which I'm pretty sure it will, I think we just end up keeping it.
Yeah. Did you see Jason Sudeikis tweeted out a costume he wanted to see this year for Halloween?
No.
Was Ted Lasso of Truth.
That's amazing.
That's good.
It's fucking brilliant.
I really wanted to do that this year.
You should have done it. It's good. All right. So after the balance, we have Double Date.
Oh, yeah.
100% that's staying in. Clash. Absolutely.
What's that one again?
Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one. Hunter's Moon. So this is the one where Shaira, Vixen, and Vigilante.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to say yes.
We don't need to see the growth between Vixen and Shaira.
Look, in the same way that, like, to your point about Epilogue, like, nothing else that happens after this matters, so it doesn't necessarily have to keep here to fulfill further plot points. I think the same could be said about both The Balance and Hunter's Moon. But I think I kind of like the little bits of resolution we get all through this.
I think the story we wrote for this episode, where it is John dealing with the mental stress and anguish of seeing the future and understand and having to fight between, like, do I have to make this come true, or can I change it, or is it possible to change it? So
let's just jump forward a little bit here, because after that we then get the 4-part Cadmus finale. So Question Authority, Flashpoint, Panic in the Sky, Divide We Fall, and Epilogue.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to throw out, like we did last season, I think for the sake of convenience, you just include the whole season.
Yeah, just watch it all.
I don't think you're really missing out. Like, I don't think it's a waste of time to say watch The Balance and Hunter's Moon. In the way that, like, there's some seasons where, like, don't bother with this. It's awful. They're not bad episodes. They just pale in comparison to how good the other ones around them are.
Yeah, and I think with that mentality, I think you kind of do need these to show how good the rest of them are.
Yeah,
I don't think you'd understand the scale. If you're only watching 10s, you won't understand that they're 10s.
That's fair. Yeah, you need a good 7 there for comparison's sake.
Yeah, so, that's why I'm around.
Yeah. So I think, like we did last time, I think the entirety of Justice League Unlimited Season 2 is a keeper.
Mm-hmm.
It's just great.
Yeah,
it's all great. All right, well, that does that. So we're doing additional little bonus segments here because it is episode 200, and we did plan it to have only one episode in this podcast episode. We were trying to figure out what to do because, one of the things that we've been doing all along here, which I can't say if it's unique to us or not, but it's very much part of our show, is our short list. So we do have an existing short list for every season of every show that we've covered so far. We debated just picking our favorite from each season.
That's too much
and we
work.
realized it was like 20 episodes. Like, that's too much work. So we ultimately settled on the idea of we get to pick our favorite single episode from every series.
I should have asked this question before. Do we both have to agree on a single episode, or can we both have our own?
I think in
episodes?
This case, it's okay to have different episodes.
Okay.
Because we're not trying to build a, like, watch list necessarily. And even if we do, we each get, 5 or 6 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fine. I think in this case, we can just pick our favorites. And I'm going to allow multiple parts.
Yes,
as
I
one.
was saying, yeah.
The caveat of that being, it actually has to be an episode broken up into 2 or more parts with the same name. Thus, the 4-part Cadmus finale cannot count because they are independently named episodes, even if they are an ongoing story.
Yes, I'm fine with that. I like that rule.
All right. I actually did not write my list. I was going back and, refreshing all of our short lists so we have them, but I will figure it out as we go.
Okay.
So in that being the case, Cameron, why don't you lead us off with our Batman the Animated Series short list? We will be covering new Batman adventures separately.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I've been pretty vocal about this over the past 5 years. There's one episode for me that always stands out.
Mm-hmm.
It is my favorite. It is my favorite villain.
Mm-hmm.
And it is one of my favorite introductions of a villain. And it is, if you're so smart, why aren't you rich?
I think that is a goddamn excellent pick.
Mm-hmm.
That is also one of my all-time favorite episodes.
Yeah.
I talked about it then, talked about it again now. I had it on VHS as a 2-parter with Riddler's Reform.
Yep. I had it on hit clips.
Yep.
I had to watch it in 30-second bursts.
Yep. I I wholeheartedly endorse your choice of, oh, if you're so smart, why aren't you rich?
There's so many good ones.
I am deeply torn on this one, actually, because because I watch it so often as a kid, and I think it is a brilliantly constructed episode, that is one of my all-time favorites. I think maybe just for the sake of a little bit of diversity in our opinions, and because I remember this episode being very emotionally impactful for me, I'm going to go with Robin's Reckoning parts 1 and 2.
Yes. I had a feeling you were going to pick that.
And you know what? It's funny because I do not remember that episode as well as I do that Riddler episode, because again, I've seen that one probably more than I've seen any of the other episodes. But I remember really loving it on our revisit. And I mean, I've always loved Dick Grayson, and not just because he has the best ass in comics. That helps.
And he doesn't yet in the show.
He doesn't yet in the show. He's not yet in Nightwing.
Yeah.
But
he is a child, Chris.
No, he's in college.
And not in the flashbacks.
I'm not talking about the flashbacks. I'm talking about him as Robin when he's an adult in college, which honestly at this point is still too young for me. I'm like, what do I do with a fucking 21-year-old?
I mean, he's not even 21.
Yeah, I'm sure he's 21.
I think he's 18. I think he's in the dorms.
Okay, fine. He's 18 at least, but even then, what would I do with it? It's too young. It's ridiculous.
And he's in a relationship, Chris.
Yeah, but that's not a real. That's a weird fucked up relationship, him with Barbara. Like, I mean, like the thing is, there's so many great ones to pick from. I mean, I think most people would probably pick Heart of Ice, which I think is great, but I think it set the tone and the template for that series going forward. But I don't think it's the best episode.
I agree, because I think it's, as many Batman controversies go, Mr. Freeze is not a villain.
Yeah, and
they treat him like a villain, and he doesn't get the same treatment that I think the other mentally challenged villains deal with. Like Ventriloquist gets a button because he's damaged.
Yeah, he gets to live a happy life.
And Mr. Freeze does not get that same treatment.
No, he
has to get a snow globe though.
He has to get a snow globe. Yeah, I mean it's a beautiful episode, but I think good picks for both of us. All right, new Batman Adventures.
Yes, I assume we have the same one. Because you made me like this episode more than any other episode.
Go ahead and let's see if it's true.
Over the Edge.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
We had a long debate on that when we did a very similar version of this with the Watchtower database and the guys at DC Review. A long debate about this. And we tried so hard to keep this in as one of the all-time great episodes. And
I forgot they did nix it.
They didn't. They ultimately nixed it because it's mostly a fantasy sequence, but that doesn't matter. I think it reveals so much about character, and I think the reveal at the end is not diminished by being a fantasy sequence because the emotional climax happens in the real world. It's a beautiful episode. It's one that makes me tear up every time. But again, we're talking about so many great options to choose from. I mean, Growing Pains. It's a great episode with the little Clayface kid.
Yep.
Old Wounds is incredible. Legends of the Dark Knight, Girls Night Out, Mad
I do love Legends of the Dark Knight. Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, I think there are Justice League Unlimited seasons 1 and 2 are I think the best seasons, but I mean that new Batman Adventures, I think that's some of the best storytelling. But all right, yeah, agreed.
And my favorite character design.
Yeah,
I think everyone that season looks so good.
Agreed. All right, this one's gonna be a little bit trickier, I think. Superman.
Yeah, I have 3. I think I know which one is my favorite of the 3, but I'm stuck between Main Man, Speed Demon, and Mixius Pixelated.
Oh, Mixius Pixelated.
And I think I got to go with C.
Mixius Pixelated? That is a really solid shout. I mean, it's weird because it's so different than every other episode in the series, but it's brilliant.
I think that's why it's so good.
It's brilliant. I can't pick the Titano episode, can I?
No, absolutely not.
It's not on our short list, so I think you made me keep it off there, you bastard.
Yeah.
Ruining my heart.
Very rarely do I put my foot down.
Ruining my heart. Okay. This... I feel like this is kind of a cheat.
Finale or pilot?
World's Finest.
That pilot?
No, World's Finest is the Batman
finale.
crossover.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of a cheat because it's not... I mean, there's still Superman episodes at the end of the day. But I think, if in terms of my favorite episode that episodes that happen within this series, I think it's got to be that. I think that's still the best the best meeting and team up of Batman and Superman yet on screen.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
So,
and that's also when we are introduced to, if I remember correctly, Roxy Rocket.
No, I think she was no. She was in a previous episode of New Batman Adventures, and you're thinking of Nighttime.
I am thinking of Nighttime.
You're thinking of Nighttime. Yes.
Yes.
But I do love Roxy Rocket.
Where Batman goes missing.
Yes. Okay, next up, Batman Beyond.
This one was tough for me.
This one is kind of tough, actually.
I'm stuck between a couple.
Yeah.
Dead Man's Hand. When
It's the first intro of the Royal Flush Gang, right?
Yes, when Terry dates Ace. 10. Sorry. Yep. The Call. I don't remember which that episode is. Why did I write that one down?
That is the Justice League episodes.
Oh, right. Those are pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Or even Rebirth. I think it's probably the best pilot.
Rebirth is great. Ace in the Hole.
Which one's that again?
The one with Ace, where the Ace is missing. We get the history of Ace.
You like that episode more than I like that episode.
Okay, sorry. I like the episode more than you did. What are you going to go with?
I might go with Rebirth.
Looks solid.
Yeah.
Absolutely solid.
It's such a strong pilot.
It really
sets
is.
up the world so well. And it's the first time you get the Matrix intro.
Oh my god! Oh, the great Darwin Cook intro.
Yep.
That look. Can't
Rob
argue.
Zombie. Did Rob Zombie do the song?
I don't think so.
It sounds like a Rob.
It
Zombie
does sound
song.
like Rob Zombie. Yeah. I'm having a hard time with this one. I am down to Dead Man's Hand and Meltdown, the Mr. Freeze episode.
Okay, that one it's not as memorable for me.
Okay, I love that episode. I love it because I think it's one of the few and one of the best times we get a legacy villain come back around. I love that it really highlights the difference between Bruce and Terry in terms of their approach as crime fighters. But my God, Dead Man's Hand has George Lazenby in it.
I mean, at the end of the day, we can both agree the best is Return of the Joker,
And that's
That's the problem. Is like the movie trumps the show on an absurd level,
right? And not to the same level of discrepancy, but for me, Phantasm is the same thing. Phantasm is the best thing to come out of BTOS. My guts tell me Dead Man's Hand.
Good. I need one of us to pick it.
Yeah. Which one did you do again? You did
Rebirth.
That's right. I realized I should actually be like marking these as we go, which I have not been doing. All right.
You know what my answer is.
All right. I'm sure listeners know why we're laughing so hard because you probably know what's coming up next. The Zeta Project.
Oh, I didn't even pick one for the Zeta Project. I just went straight to Static.
We have to pick one for the Zeta Project.
I can't.
I think I remember liking the finale of the Hologram Man.
Yeah.
Should we just pick that?
The season 1 finale when
Absolute Zero.
Yeah, because that's when they like almost find the Doctor.
Or I think Absolute Zero was like actually like the season 2 the season 2 episode 1, and we because I listened back to our short list in that whole series, and we basically decided that worked better as an actual pilot for the series than the actual pilot did. Hang on, let me real quick bring up the Zeta Project episode list. So we're gonna do this, Cameron.
Yep.
We are determined to do this, so that way we can we have 5 episodes on our short list. We can go through real quick the episodes, and so we can decide. Okay, all right. So we have on here, starting off with Absolute Zero. So, this is where they finally meet up with Dr. Selig, and Agent Lee saves them. She resigns. They escape. So yeah, it's like the time they get very close to actually getting to him. So that's one. We then also have on here Wired, which is a 2-parter. The hackers. Like the hackers take over Zeta.
Oh yeah.
And he's captured by the NSA, and they have to go in and like rescue him. I've forgotten all of this shit, to be honest. Lost and Found, which was Zeta breaks down. So they have to get Bucky's help to get him fixed up. He goes into like to terminate mode, I think, for a little bit. I don't know. I don't give a fuck about any of that stuff. Quality Time. That's the one where Bennett's kid and I think Ro are like stuck on a submarine, and Bennett and Zeta have teamed up together to go.
Yeah, that one's fine.
That's like the only episode we included just for quality and not just for necessity. And then the Hologram Man. That's when they actually like discover his origin. Yeah, and they escape.
I'll stick with my answer. I'll say when they almost get Dr. Selvig.
Absolute zero.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Let's just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares?
No one.
All right. Now this one's gonna be fun.
Yep. Because you know my answer.
I think I know your answer. Oh, fuck you.
The one of many appearances.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what I was thinking. Wait, hang on. Oh, okay. I guess we did not set a rule. It had to come off. It had to come from our short list, did we?
No.
Okay, fine. Go ahead then.
Static Shack. It's not really, but I just had to bring it up.
To be fair, it is on our short list. So.
Oh, I did fight for that one, didn't I?
Yeah.
Because he comes back.
No, he doesn't. He only comes back in promos. And he doesn't even come back for promos. They were just the promos from that episode.
No, he'll be in season 3 of JLU.
You bastard.
No, I love Hard as Nails. It's such a good episode. It's one I remember seeing so many times.
Which one's that one again?
That's when...
oh, it's Harley and Ivy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Ooh.
Mm-hmm. That one's really good. Static in Africa is
Static
so fun.
in Africa. I think that's the one episode of Static we picked when we did that top 5 with the boys.
I think so too. And then She Bang, which is the next episode.
Yeah.
Those are so good. I think I'll go with Static in Africa again.
Okay. That is fair.
Mm-hmm.
That's absolutely fair. That is probably also my favorite.
It's that cool shot where he's stuck to the bottom of the
and
they ride together.
It really gets, it's the episode that most explicitly talks about Static being like the only black hero that he knows, and it does such a great job with that idea.
Mm-hmm. And then kind of retcons it when he sees the retro hero that rides on the phone lines.
Oh yeah, Power something.
Yeah,
the episode's called Power Outage. I think it's a pretty good episode.
Mm-hmm.
Is it bad that I just kind of want to pick Future Shock because it's Batman Beyond, and it also gives us like that brief moment of like daddy static?
You're welcome to.
Which is well established not even be my thing, but something about that just works.
Hey, I get it. Static Shack is a bad episode.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to love it.
You know, again, for the sake of having a little bit of diversity here, I'm going to, because I definitely would have picked Static in Africa. I think it's the best episode of the show, but just for my own little amusement, I'm going to throw in Future Shock.
Hey, go for it.
All right. Justice League.
Yes.
This is actually kind of tough.
Because I was guessing you're going to pick Star-Crossed. So I wanted to pick something else. So I picked Hereafter.
Oh, Hereafter.
Mm-hmm.
It's so fucking good. Let me just think about this a little bit here. I mean, I really like Twilight. I really like the Savage Time.
Savage Time is also really good. You get that Steve Trevor in there.
You know what? But yeah, I have to go with Star-Crossed. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
I think Hereafter is a very solid choice as well.
It's so good.
It's
the one I remember that for people who don't have it off the top of their head like we do. That's the one where Superman gets zapped.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks he's dead, and Batman kind of loses it trying to prove that he's not.
Yeah. It's a really touching first half, and the second half is just so out there, but it just also works really well. Mm-hmm. Like Superman on Earth with a red sun driving around in a big old like Cadillac or whatever.
Yeah, with Vandal Savage.
It's weird, but it's fun. Those are solid choices. Okay, now do we do Justice League Limited? We haven't watched all of it yet, technically.
I think so.
Okay.
We'll do kind of where we're at.
Okay, up to now. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, this.
Because I'm stuck between two.
This is pretty hard. There's some great shit in here.
Since it is so fresh and so recent for us, do you want to pick one per season?
No.
Okay. Fine.
I'm gonna assign us the challenge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you start this one.
Fuck it. All right. I think I'm going to have to go with.
Making it really hard for our Foley guy in this episode.
I'm so sorry. Okay. I'm stuck between the Once and Future thing and Double Date.
Okay.
I remember I do love this little piggy. Obviously, I think I mostly love it because of the end piece, though, in terms of like an actual full episode. And again, for The Man Who Has Everything is great, but I don't necessarily. I think the Mongol stuff is kind of okay.
That was one of my two. Is Man Who Has Everything.
Okay, I'm just gonna pull the trigger. I'm gonna go with Double Date.
Okay, it's fine.
Yep.
I will go with Task Force X.
Great fucking choice.
It's so good.
It is so good. Oh yeah. Good. Ooh, good choices.
Yeah.
It was this is hard because it's hard to pick. I think some of the best episodes are part of larger Cadmus arcs, and to pull one of them out, you kind of miss out on the rest of the storytelling around it. But yeah, I love Double Date. I just love Huntress.
Yeah.
Actually, I love all four of them.
Yeah, it's such a good group.
Love all four. All right, we did it. You did it. We got it. Okay, so our list here. So your favorites. Do you still have them written down, or do you need me to tell you what they were?
It is If You Were So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich?
Yes.
Mixies Pixelated.
Yep.
Over the Edge. Rebirth. Whatever I said for Zeta.
We cumulatively agreed with Absolute Zero.
Yep. Static Shack / Static in Africa. Hereafter and Task Force X.
Very great choices across the board. I went for Robin's Reckoning, Part 1 and 2. For Over the Edge, of course. My favorite episode of the entire thing. I then went for World's Finest, slight cheat, but I'm gonna keep it. Dead Man's Hand, Absolute Zero, Future Shack, and Star-Crossed, and Double Date.
Great.
Good episodes.
Good for us.
Really good episodes. All right, well then let's wrap things up here with some plugs.
What do you
got to plug this week, Cameron?
There's one movie we've both seen. We won't go super in depth because we're already at time. But I've seen Dune.
You've now seen Dune. That's right.
It's wonderful.
It is,
isn't it?
It's
so good. And I want, whenever people see it, I want to talk to them with them about it.
Yeah, it's excellent. Part 2 greenlit.
Yes, which is why I went to go see it.
Yeah. I guess they were waiting for that first weekend box office to come in, but I was like, guys, if you had probably greenlit this earlier, maybe they would have.
Yeah, if you filmed it back to back, you would have saved so much money.
I can kind of understand why they didn't. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And I think they're very hesitant. I mean, clearly they're hesitant about the upfront investment. They weren't willing to greenlight Part 2 until after they got the first weekend box office in. But it's doing well.
Good. It's
like overall doing well. And I think it's just great.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't been this excited for like a grand sci-fi epic kind of since Avatar. Which is very sad to say. And also with this, I texted you about this right after. I've been a James Cameron Avatar apologist for 11 years. And seeing this movie, I'm upset with Avatar.
Yeah.
Because I could see what that movie could have been.
You mean because it's garbage?
It's fine. Because I've now seen what it could have been.
Yeah.
I'm a little upset with Avatar.
Yeah. It's kind of shit.
Mm-hmm. It's fine.
But Dune's great.
Dune is great. Everyone go see it.
Highly recommend going and seeing Dune.
Get on that score.
Yeah, I think
those Hans Zimmer bagpipes.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best movies this year. Probably.
I would say so. Yeah.
I think it's up. I think it's definitely
probably
up there
top 5.
Yeah, I have to look at the full list, but I think it's pretty up there for me actually. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Just everything about it, I think is really good. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Oh my god, is it gorgeous?
Great performances, and again, I know it's available.
Sand was so hot.
Right now, right? I know it's available on HBO Max.
But
go see it in a theater. I think I'm gonna go this week and see it in IMAX.
Yeah, especially like go where there's no distraction.
Yeah,
like if I had because it's a movie you have to pay attention.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah,
if you can find a screening that has subtitles, even better.
Probably for the best.
Yeah.
I'm glad you liked it.
You don't need subtitles.
No,
that's just our.
That's
preference.
just us. We just prefer subtitles because we're old men. At least one of us is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you really liked it though.
Yes.
I want because obviously I had started reading the book when I read it, and I'm now I'm almost to the point where the movie ends in the book.
Okay.
But I have enjoyed the book more having seen the movie.
That's how I want to feel.
Yeah.
Is I know there's a lot of people who read first then watch, but I feel like then you're disappointed with what's cut out. I feel like if you watch then read, it's like getting extra content.
I mean, an adaptation is simultaneously a process of subtraction and addition, but for the most part, you are cutting out a lot of stuff from a book. And I like going back and reading the book because then you just get more material, plus you get more internal stuff you don't get out of a movie.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm a big book second person.
Yeah, and then I'm not angry.
Not so angry. Damn you, TV! Damn you, Denis Villeneuve.
But on the complete opposite front, but also kind of similar front, I watched The French Dispatch last
that's
night.
right.
The next Wes Anderson film. And it is wonderful. It's so good. I went in not knowing anything. I think I'd seen a trailer a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But besides that, I went in blind. And I think that's how you should go in.
Okay.
It's just a good time. I was telling you about it before we started recording. It's one of those movies where I got stuck in like the Wes Anderson world mentally, and I walked out of it with like Adrian Brody's voice as my inner monologue and seeing the world in like the perfect order for a minute.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's so good.
I'm glad to hear that because
and fucking everybody's in it.
I mean,
holy shit!
With him, it always is. And I haven't seen all of his movies, but for me, my favorite of his is the Grand Budapest Hotel, which I think is like a fucking masterpiece.
It has the style. Also, like I was worried going in because like Grand Budapest, and also he didn't do Midnight in Paris, but it's a very similar vibe to his stuff.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
I was wondering like how can you make these shots better? Like Grand Budapest is beautifully shot.
Yeah. And
the way he films this movie, as he always says, it's always a great film. But his shots are so well choreographed. And he almost has done no action shots. Whenever things get chaotic, he has everyone stand still and he just pans through the crowd.
Oh, okay.
And so it's not a still because you still see them like shaking, holding like a bottle above their head.
Yeah.
But I just love that idea. And you see like the chaos where he has like plates hanging on strings, like they're being thrown. And it's so like weirdly quirky and it's so fun.
I really like his style.
Yeah.
You've seen the Paddington movies?
I have not. I've seen the first Paddington.
I mean, they're both amazing.
As I've heard.
Paddington 2 in particular has kind of a even more leans into a sort of Wes Anderson-y kind of vibe.
Okay.
It's really cute.
Yeah, I can see Wes Anderson pulling from like a little bit of Edgar Wright in here, and I can see him pulling a little bit from what's his face, Woody Allen. I feel like Woody Allen's always been a kind of consistent inspiration for him, but the good parts.
Yeah.
The movie's not the person.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel a little bit more like Edgar Wright inspiration in a lot of these shots.
Oh, that's cool. That's good to know. Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for that one. I'm glad you remind me it's out. I need to go see that one.
Yeah. What about you? What are you plugging for 200?
Oh my God! You have to wait. It has to be a special plug because it's 200.
No, it doesn't.
I was trying to get into the Halloween spirit a little bit this last week. Obviously, when this episode comes out, it'll be post Halloween, so these won't mean much to anybody. But I rewatched for the first time in many years Casper.
Oh, 1996. No, 4-ish.
I think 4. It holds up.
Good.
It's solid. Like the effects, I think because they were deliberately cartoonish when they were made, honestly hold up pretty damn well. The humor holds up really well for the most part. I mean, Bill Pullman's always fantastic, as is Christina Ricci. I only got for the first time the joke around the name of the house.
Well, I haven't seen the movie in years.
It's called Whipstaff.
Oh, that's good.
Never got that as a kid.
That's good.
Got it now for the first time. No, it's really cute. I was impressed by how well it ages. Yeah.
Maybe I'll watch it today.
It's honestly, I mean, I rented it on iTunes. It's not available that I can find
that's fine.
anywhere on streaming. But no, it's cute. It's got heart, and it's still like pretty funny. And the only joke that doesn't really hold up now is when the ghosts have taken over Bill Pullman, and he goes through a series of face changes to just shoehorn a bunch of cameos. One of them is Mel Gibson. It's about it. It's the only thing that doesn't really hold up. The rest of it honestly does actually hold up pretty well. So.
I as a kid I loved Cast Meets Wendy.
Never saw that one.
I understand. It's not great. Yeah, but I loved it. It was one of the few times I got Blockbuster privilege because at the time my mom was high up at Blockbuster,
Oh, okay.
and so we got to they did like early screenings for kids movies during the summer. So you got to bring your kid to work day, and then in the middle of because the Blockbuster building in Dallas was a couple floors, but in the middle they had a full movie theater.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And so you got to go in the middle of the day and you got to watch these movies with your kids.
Oh,
That's the only one I remember.
Okay.
Was Catch Meets Wendy. We saw that there, and then we stole a copy of Flubber afterwards because it hadn't been released yet on VHS.
You monsters.
Yep. We still have that copy. It still has the Viacom warning on top of like don't remove from Viacom building.
Good luck finding a place to play it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Wait, wasn't Flubber Disney?
Yes, but it was the like Blockbuster VHS. Because it wasn't out for distribution yet. We got like an early copy.
Okay, I was like, why would it say Viacom on there?
Because it was Blockbuster property.
Oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. Yes, I watched that, and then I watched on Disney Plus the Muppets Haunted Mansion.
How is it?
It's cute.
That's first on my list today.
Yeah,
this.
it is cute. For me, Muppets Christmas Carol is like a must watch once, maybe twice a year around the holidays. I love that movie so much. I love the Muppets in general. It's cute. There's some genuinely really good laughs in there. You know, they do a pretty good job like putting in a bunch of cameos, and they like work decently well. And they do a nice job bridging the humor of the Muppets with the kind of like the style and tone of the Haunted Mansion ride, which makes sense because there's a similar sort of like lighthearted, fun tone there between the two of them. The only thing I found like a little bit distracting is it's clearly pretty much all shot on a green screen, and pretty much all of the mansion is digital.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like a little too obvious. But I mean, that aside, like it actually works pretty well. I liked it. It's cute.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's not quite Muppet Christmas Carol level, but
I wasn't expecting it to.
yeah, but it's like an hour. So it's a good like hour long.
Yeah, I'll watch it while having lunch.
Cheeky little distraction. So that's pretty good.
Nice.
But yeah. So if anyone is listening to this now and still feels like stretching out Halloween for a couple more days, go watch those.
Or jump straight into Christmas like I am.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you're going head first. I mean, like we can do this real quick. What day do you watch Nightmare Before Christmas?
I watch it once for each.
Okay.
So usually I watched it the first week of October, and I'll probably watch it again right after Thanksgiving.
Okay. I for me that's like I could watch it like November 1st. That's kind of like the peak thing for me. It's like coming out of Halloween or heading into the holidays.
I mean, that is the day the movie takes place.
Yeah, that's perfect. There you go. Well, good. So I have the right answer. Fantastic. I like to hear that.
I mean, subjectively.
No, I think objectively it's the right answer. It's literally the day the movie is set. That's the tone they're going for. That is the very specific seasonal
Yeah, but if you want to have
attitude.
kind of a Disney argument with me right now,
I never want to have a Disney
we can
argument
have the
with you,
conversation
Cameron.
of we're not sure how time exactly works in this world.
Oh, fuck right off.
For a Halloween town, they only celebrate the one holiday, but then they're bringing back a second holiday for Christmas, which,
It still takes 365 days, though.
for...
A year passes in the universe of that movie.
No, because they celebrate Christmas on their Christmas.
Oh, that's right. Fuck it, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, so it's only a 2-month span.
Whatever. I still have it right. But yeah, those are plugs. But that does it for us for episode 200.
Yes,
Wow.
slightly special, but not that special.
Yeah, it's kind of about how special we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but no, I mean, and like I said, we'll get a little more sentimental, a little bit more involved in our finale, which is coming up here in just a few months. But I mean, this is incredible. I didn't actually think we'd ever get to 200.
Oh, no, never.
I would have thought we would have dropped off this a long,
What if we just
long
stop
time
now?
ago. I mean, there's an argument to be made. This is the better finale for the whole universe. So
No, we got to finish it out.
yeah, we're so close. Yeah, we have
You promised me one bonus episode.
I have promised you a bonus episode, which will come out between this and when we start Justice League Unlimited Season 3. I shan't say what it is.
Oh.
It'll be a delightful surprise for people.
It's been 5 years in the making.
It drops. I will let you guess. I will let people guess. Here's what. Well, I don't know. Is this fun or not? Should people write in and tell us what they think the bonus episode is going to be?
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Okay.
It'll be fun for you because you read them.
Right. Given how excited Cameron is about this, I want everyone to write in and figure out what it is we're going to cover.
Yes.
So, but yes, we're going to have one bonus episode before we get into Justice League Unlimited, and that'll be our final season, which is pretty crazy. But I mean, obviously, thank you for everyone who continues to listen and who writes
thanks for
in with
200 episodes.
lovely messages. Like, I mean, I think we probably would have kept going on this, but definitely having like the fun community and friends we've made out of it has encouraged us to keep going here. And let's be honest, we would have given up a long time ago if we didn't feel there was actual pressure to finish.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So it is much appreciated. But yeah, if you want to send in your predictions for what our bonus episode is going to be in the next week here, you can find us at Timm Talk Pod on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Gmail.
Yes. We're not saying that to get ideas. We have the idea.
The idea is set in stone. I've already made this commitment. It is literally already in my spreadsheet to keep track of all of our episodes.
Already done the research.
I have not yet. That reminds me I got to find time to do that in the next week.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking hell. I don't know when. Well, I don't have to watch anything this week for work, I don't think, so that helps.
There you go.
Yeah, because that gets challenging sometimes. Oh, what, I have to watch all of Squid Game in a weekend? Okay. Great. And then you can find me at Lordifer on Instagram, and I'm starting to be a little more active on Twitter now.
Good.
So I'm trying.
Nice.
Yeah.
If you want to see my art, you can find that at Cameron.Dexter. I posted my one Inktober drawing.
You did.
Yesterday.
I was very impressed.
Thank you. It's Pokemon themed.
Of course it is.
And if you want to see my face and my non-Halloween activities, you can find that at CamDexter_adventures.
Boom, boom, boom. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. We'll be back next week with a bonus episode.
Yes.
And then back the following week with Justice League Unlimited Season 3, Episodes 1 and 2, which will be I Am Legion and Shadow of the Hawk.
Whew.
Much to look forward to there. But until then, thanks, everybody, and bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Ba 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 ba.
Ba 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 na 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 na. Ba 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 na 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 na. Oh man, can't wait to not do that anymore.
Yeah, same.